So correctly, Jesus labels James and John as the sons of thunder. They tend to be full of themselves. Bugs. And not only did they want to be ambitious and sit at the right hand of Jesus and then everybody gets rebuked for that ambition, there's also this, which is close to the end of the ministry. They've been with Jesus long enough that they should have had a better sense of what he was about. But in reality, they're just human, like all of us. It's easy for us to become complacent and just assume that we've got a handle on things. We often become a little addicted to control. Remember the enthusiasm when you first learned how to drive a car? Immense power that we're now controlling. You can go up hills without pedaling. You can steer, you can brake, you can do all this wonderful stuff. And we think that we're in control until we encounter our first winter road and realize, maybe there's a lot more we need to learn. And this is probably true of the disciples. Jesus empowers them to go perform miracles in his name to help in the preparation for the coming of the kingdom. And would imagine that would be an addictive power to participate in that. And it would be easy for them, as well as us, to start to assume, well, we intended to do this and that happened, so we must be somehow in control of this. And somehow forgetting that maybe we're simply participating in it and we're not in control. So when Jesus rebukes them, we don't hear the nature of the rebuke. But I would imagine there's at least two things that he might be trying to address with James and John, and perhaps the others as well. First off, did they really think that God was going to, through them, bring down fire and consume this village? I don't know that the power of God is going to do something that is against the will of God. And so as much as they might have been doing good in the name of God, and God was behind them, this notion that God was going to destroy a village like some Old Testament prophet, I don't think that they got the message. But perhaps more importantly was their attitude towards these Samaritans. It's one thing to go into a village and everyone loves you and accepts you and they're happy that Jesus is coming along. They love his message of promise of eternal salvation. They like when the people are being healed. That's all great. But they kind of expected to be put on a pedestal, perhaps. And so when they reject Jesus because he's going on to Jerusalem, which is not their favorite place in the world, not the place that they're going to be welcome, it continues to be an issue for them. And so as opposed to shaking the dust from their feet and going on, they get their knickers in a twist. And the reason for that, I believe, is because of pride and ego. Pride and ego lays dormant perhaps in all of us, and it only raises its ugly head unconsciously when we cross the threshold. So even Jesus' chosen 12 could be guilty of a lot of pride and ego that needed to be tempered and put in its place for them to appropriately do the ministry. I think we can all suffer from this. My mother, God rest her soul, was a very generous, loving woman, and she loved to create greeting cards for people. She would dissect old cards, create new ones, find poetry, laminate this stuff, and send it out. She loved to do it. And it was intended to bring joy and express her love and prayers for people in all sorts of circumstances, anniversaries, birthdays, consolation, and the rest. But if she sent a gift to someone and they did not respond with a thank you card or acknowledging that they had received a gift, boy, it got under her saddle like a big burr. And it bothered her. And as her priest son, I think that she would dump this angst on me because I was supposed to absolve it somehow or understand it or advise her. She certainly didn't expect me to contact these people and say, hey, will you get with the program and send her a thank you card at least, like she had done to her children as we were growing up? But instead, I would sometimes challenge her, just how unconditional is your gift? You gave it with a benefit that it was going to help this individual. Was your intention to be thanked? Oh, no, it's not to be. I didn't need to be thanked. I just want to make sure it didn't get lost in the mail or stolen. I can understand that, but you sure isn't scratching some deeper itch that you needed to be thanked, that you needed to be acknowledged for your goodness, your righteousness. That didn't sit well with her, and I understand why. We don't like to acknowledge that sometimes we are selfish even in our most caring, charitable acts. But I think that Jesus is calling out, rebuking the disciples to understand that selfless ministry is truly selfless when we're doing it in the same name of Christ. And so Jesus is willing to sacrifice it all, and even from the cross does not expect thanks. He continued to pray for the ignorance of people that don't know any better. So may we take a lesson from James and John. When we have our pride and our ego stepping up and trying to unravel our good, may we recognize that maybe we're okay. Unconditional love is its own merit. It doesn't need to be thanked.